So come on, don't be shy. Come on over here. Don't be shy. Yeah. Okay, come on, Sylvain. You get closer in, folks. Camera shot's not that wide. Huh? Don't be shy.
I'm not.
Hello. Notice I got a haircut for this, eh? You know what's that? Zach. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Stoffer. I'm the Member of Parliament for Sac-Eastern Shore, Nova Scotia, as well as the Federal NDP Official Opposition Veterans Affairs Critic. And I'm joined with my colleague Sylvain Chicoin, who's the Deputy Critic, and will be making my sort of English remarks en français. We also are joined today by the President of the Veterans Affairs Union, that is Yvan Thauvette. We also have two affected people by the cuts, Michelle Bradley and Bonnie Height. First of all, we want to say that we're here, folks, to tell you how disappointed that the federal NDP and our friends are in terms of the cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs. As you know, 804 jobs have been told that they'll be cut from the department, but that it also doesn't tell you yesterday the agreement in principle to transfer St. Anne's Hospital in St. Anne's de Bellevue to the province of Quebec. There's an additional 1,300 federal jobs that will be gone. That is a total of over 2,100 jobs out of a department of 4,100. That is a 45% personnel cut. That is the largest cut to any department that the government runs. The absolute largest cut. And after we in the NDP moved a motion, which is exactly what Australia, what Britain and England had done, which is exempt their Department of Veterans Affairs from any budgetary fiscal restraints, because they knew that they're not going to balance the backs of the deficit and the debt on the backs of the heroes of their country. We in Canada did the opposite. The motion was adopted by the opposition, but thoroughly rejected unanimously by the Conservative Party of Canada. The other day, on Friday, I was with my Atlantic caucus in Prince Edward Island, where I met members of the union that represent the Charlottetown district office. And this district office, this isn't the head offices. This is a separate district office. And these are where veterans, RCMP members or their families from throughout Prince Edward Island would go to actually physically meet someone from the Department of Veterans Affairs. And in many cases, these veterans are either elderly, they're frail, they have psychological problems, they have physical problems, but this is their opportunity to appear before someone who's actually breathing and to be able to sit down and talk to them about their complex problems. And then the great folks at DVA will then be able to assist them and tell them exactly where to go to get the help that they require and to have that continuous dialogue with them. Unfortunately, and I'm paraphrasing now, Claude Bourque, who is the area manager, I believe, for New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, in a meeting they had with the Veterans Affairs employees the other day, and I'm paraphrasing what he told the employees. He said that they did their job so well and did it so good that too many veterans are showing up at the district office, and not enough of them were using the internet or the phone. So they're shutting the office down, which means that island veterans either have to try to use the internet or the phone to get the services that they need. At the same time, they're also shutting the Cape Breton office. That means all those veterans, RCMP members, and their families that wish to meet someone face-to-face now have to go all the way to Halifax to get the help they need. And, of course, they were told, well, they can always go on the internet. And, of course, many of these individuals in small communities don't have access to the internet because it's very expensive to have it in their home. Oh, they can go to a campsite. Oh, sorry, we're shutting down the campsites as well. So they're doubly screwed in terms of getting access to members of the veteran community. And also what I learned, and this is very, very disturbing, there's a 1-866-522-2122 number that you can call for veterans help. Now we find out that a lot of those calls have been transferred over to Services Canada. And even worse, transferred over to a private company called Quantum here in Ottawa, and they answer the phone, Veterans Affairs Canada. This is a private company deliberately misleading people who call in by saying Veterans Affairs Canada, and they're not. They're a private company. The work hasn't gone away. In fact, the work has increased. But what this government has done in its blatant ignorance is destroy the hopes and lives of very good public servants and transfer that work over to a private company. And this time I'm going to ask Sylvain to say my remarks en français as well. Thank you. Sylvain?
Merci. Bonjour à tous, mon nom est Yvan Thauvette, je suis nouvellement critique adjoint pour les vétérans, pour les anciens combattants. Et nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour dénoncer les coupures qui ont lieu présentement au ministère des anciens combattants. Plusieurs milliers d'emplois seront complètement abolis du ministère des anciens combattants et plusieurs services offerts aux anciens combattants seront complètement détruits ou plusieurs points de service seront éliminés et les anciens combattants et les anciens membres de la GRC devront faire plusieurs centaines de kilomètres pour avoir droit aux services auxquels ils ont droit et c'est complètement inacceptable de traiter ainsi nos anciens combattants de la sorte. Il y a comme M. Stoffer l'a mentionné aussi, on a privatisé plusieurs, la ligne 1-800 de service aux anciens combattants va être une firme privée qui devra répondre aux anciens combattants et répondre au ministère des anciens combattants, alors que ce n'est pas le cas. C'est une compagnie privée qui gère ces services et effectivement, le ministère des anciens combattants a été amputé de leur budget de façon drastique, autour de 40 % de coupure. C'est complètement inacceptable et nous sommes ici pour dénoncer ces faits-là. Et le président du syndicat des anciens combattants va vous donner de plus amples renseignements autour des coupures qui ont lieu présentement. Et je vous remercie.
Merci, Sylvain.
Merci, M. Thauvette.
Alors, bonjour, mon nom est Yvan Thauvette, président national pour le syndicat des employés des anciens combattants. A couple of months ago, we had a presentation from the employer on service delivery. Part of the document was showing that 80% of the clients would be able to self-serve by 2014-15. So we've asked a lot of questions to the employer because we don't believe it's feasible. Now, today I can say it will, because in 2014-15, there won't be any services anymore. So they will have to self-serve themselves, going through the internet or by phone. I already mentioned a couple of months ago that the department has announced 500 job cuts through the transformation process, so re-engineering of the department. That number is now increased to 552. And from the last budget, 252 jobs would be lost. A couple of weeks ago, on April the 11th, I believe, 261 client services agents received a letter saying that their position may be affected. From the 261 positions, the employer wants to abolish 75 positions by next fall. The letter was saying there's a discontinuance of a function. And by meeting with the employer last week, they told us that part of the job would be contracted out to a company called Medavie Blue Cross, which is, by the way, an American company. So that company would receive claims and would pay back the clients, so they would be judge and jury at the same time. What we've questioned was the privacy, because they're not under the same, I would say, legislation we're under. Peter talked about the general calls that are sent through Services Canada, and then they contracted out to Quantum. The cost of that contract is the same that they would have kept 7 or 8 employees. Worse than that, 85% of that calls that are received by Quantum are returned back to Veterans Affairs Canada because they're unable to answer the clients. So that's a shame. So it's not saving taxpayers' money. By 2015-16, third of the frontline staff would be cut. So if the minister believes that the services won't be cut, I think he's lying to the public and he's lying to the clients. So I'll let Michelle talk about Michelle being a client service agent, one of the affected employees that received a letter a couple of weeks ago, so she will talk about her situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvan. My name is Michelle Bradley. I'm a client service agent with the St. John District Office in New Brunswick. And I've been with Veterans Affairs Canada for 10 years. My role in the department is as a frontline worker who not only provides direct services to our clients, but I'm the warm body on the end of the phone. And I'm the person they come in to see face to face when they need to come in to talk to us about what they're eligible for and how they can obtain services. I'm here today to tell you how the cuts to Veterans Affairs Canada will impact the services provided to those who fought for our freedom and continue to defend it. The Harper government wants you to believe our clients will receive the same level of service they have come to know and expect from Veterans Affairs staff. This is simply not true. As Yvan mentioned, 261 of us were delivered letters on April 11th, telling us that we may not have a job by the end of the year. 75 of us will see that come to fruition. That's approximately 1/3 of the client service agents across the country. And as Peter mentioned, 9 district offices will be closed by 2015. What does this mean for our clients? It means their services will be provided by third-party providers like the American-owned insurance company Medavie Blue Cross. It means our clients will no longer have easy access to visit their respective district offices and will have to travel for 2, 3, 4 hours or outside of their own province, as is the case in Charlottetown, just to speak with someone face to face. Our clients are being misinformed and misled by the current government. Our clients believe they are speaking with Veterans Affairs staff when they call our toll-free number. The truth is, many of them are speaking with the private external service provider that Yvan and Peter both alluded to earlier, Quantum, a contract costing over $620,000. We don't know if either Blue Cross or Quantum have the proper security clearance to handle the sensitive information of our clientele. We don't know if they are bound by the same privacy laws that the public servants are. We don't know if they have the proper authority to spend Canadian taxpayers' hard-earned money. We don't know if the American government, through Blue Cross, can access private information of our clients, our fellow Canadian citizens. What we do know is in the near future, our clients will not be dealing directly with Veterans Affairs employees, who not only have a devotion to the heroes of our country, but also specialize in eligibility and benefit delivery, which enables them to provide what our clients need. In the near future, a significant portion of the Veterans Independence Program and all of the health-related travel services will be provided by these private contracted companies who do not have the vast knowledge that our client service agents have, who do not have the answers our clients need. What we do know is the personal relationship that our clients have with us will soon be a thing of the past. The government invests a large amount of resources to recruit honorable men and women to defend our country when we need them the most. But then they turn around and refuse to invest the same amount of resources required to look after their needs when they need us the most. So you tell me, does this sound like the same level of service our veterans, Canadian Forces clients, RCMP retirees, and widows have come to expect from the Department of Veterans Affairs? And now I'll let Bonnie speak.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Height, and I'm a client service agent from Saskatchewan. Our jobs are being cut across Canada, and we are the frontline staff that deal directly with veterans. We are now being told we do too much. They should be more proactive and start using technology. Client service agents approve and adjudicate 95% of the veterans' benefits. The work that has left our desk was either not done by the CSA or we are still doing it. One part of our job that will be leaving is going to a private company that is American-owned, and they will have full access to veterans' private information. And just on a private note, as a federal government employee, and I know everybody works because they need to, I have 33 years with the federal government, and for the first time of working with conservative and liberal governments, I don't think that I'll be able to get my 35 years. And that's all.
Thank you very much. And we also have Kim Coles here as well, of the Veterans Affairs employees, to answer any questions we may have. But I want to conclude that the Veterans Ombudsman the other day was in Saskatchewan and indicated quite clearly, in his opinion, that the cuts to Department of Veterans Affairs should not have an effect on services. I say to the Veterans Ombudsman Guy Perron publicly, sir, I respectfully, completely disagree with that statement. This is going to have a direct impact on services. When you tell someone in their late 80s or who's homeless, for example, a homeless veteran in Halifax, when they're going to go actually meet a warm body that can help them go through the myriad of programs and systems and benefits that DVA has, to telling them, oh, just go to the internet or pick up the 186 phone number, maybe that'll help you. That is a cut in services. And I would hope that the ombudsman would rethink that position, because that I'm not sure where that came from, but I couldn't tell you how disappointed I was when I heard that, because every single person that looks at this knows quite clearly that there will be drastic cuts to Veterans Affairs services in the near future. At this time, we'll put an end to it and take any questions or comments that you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Either Bonnie or Michelle, what kind of services or why do veterans come see you? Like, what are they asking for from these offices?
As a client service agent, and Bonnie, if you want to join me up here, we can kind of coordinate on this one. As a client service agent, we offer a range of services to our clients. We're the ones, as Bonnie mentioned, that approve and adjudicate on 95% of the benefits that we offer. It ranges from anything from equipment they need in their home, to home care services, to assistance with financial cost of nursing home care, and
Another benefit they receive is disability pensions, which also make it a doorway into get other benefits. The paperwork that Veterans Affairs uses is not conducive to an elderly person, so a lot of times they have to come in to get us to fill it out for them, etc.
And in terms of veterans currently have the option right now of going through the internet or by calling. So why would they choose to come to an office instead of doing that as it stands?
Because we care for them. We've been taught since I started at Veterans Affairs in 1990 that we treat them like they're our family. And now we're being told that we're not supposed to do that anymore.
And we still have a large clientele of elderly veterans, as was mentioned earlier, that don't have internet access and don't want to be put through the rigmarole of press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. So eliminating the option for them to come get service face-to-face is a direct cut to the services they're going to require and want, and the quality that they have been receiving from the department in the past.
Yeah, and we've had national contact centers for probably 8 to 10 years. And believe it or not, they still phone and want to talk directly to us. They beg us for our direct phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So these aren't people that are going to be okay with just phoning and talking to somebody who doesn't even work for us.
And as Yvan had mentioned earlier, a lot of our newer clientele, the Canadian Forces clientele and the RCMP, they have such complex and diverse needs that to try to get into that over the telephone or over the internet, it just doesn't work for them. They need that face-to-face, that person to relate to them and their situation.
I can give you one example as well of what goes on in the district office. In December of last year, the whole Western management team was in Victoria for meetings for 5 days. And in that period of 5 days, believe it or not, they had 2 veterans that were threatening to come into the offices to do something to them. One was in Penticton and then moved on to Edmonton. And he was actually in the office and he got into the boardroom and tried to set it on fire. And this is all happening, and now they're going to be taking away more and more people. And these guys really need our help, especially the young ones.
When you talk about the young ones, are they actually the clients that you see face to face? What's the average age?
For myself in Regina, probably 85 to 90. We have some younger ones, but not a lot yet. But the ones that we do have are usually suffering from some operational stress injury and are mentally ill.
And I think it depends which region of the country you're from. I'm in St. John, New Brunswick, as I mentioned, and we're very close to CFB Gagetown. So we have a lot of clients, in their early 20s, all the way up to mid-50s, and then we also have the traditional war veterans coming in. So it really depends on which clientele you serve, where you're located in the country. We have offices set up right on CFB Gagetown, and they see a huge volume of our still serving clientele and recently released Canadian Forces members. So the age group there is quite a bit younger.
No, Mr. Stoffer, you might be able to answer this too. The Veterans Ombudsman has talked about the fact that not a lot of veterans actually take part in the services provided for them because they don't actually know about them. And he has a chart where he has the circles of how many veterans Affairs knows about and then how many he actually believes are out there. Considering that not as many actually take part in these services that are provided to them, is it more important to then maybe put the money into letting them know and maybe having the Department of National Defense get them ready for life after the military rather than putting the money into the services so that they know about it and can find, at least get themselves the help they need and know about the help that they
Okay. And that's a very good question. The transition services from military personnel or RCMP onto the veteran status has improved. There's no question. There's a much better process of educating and advising the member before they transition to civilian or veteran status and also for their family. But it's still not enough. And the reality is, if you've got post-traumatic stress disorder, that doesn't necessarily show up the day that you leave. It could show up months, years later. And so the help has to definitely be there. But let's not forget, DVA's client base is around 210 to 215,000 people. There's 750,000 retired military, RCMP, and their spouses. So less than 2/3 are being serviced by Veterans Affairs. And you just said it yourself. Imagine that statement you just said, that we don't know where they are. If you take the VETS community, which is the Veterans Emergency Transition Services, Jim Lowther, Gary Zwicker, and the guys in Halifax, they went around and in one day found 4 homeless veterans. Why is it that volunteers are doing this? This should be department's job, not volunteers. Look at the Wounded Warrior Fund. Look at all these charitable groups that are popping up out of nowhere, raising funds to assist veterans and their families. Since when the hell did it become proper that people have to they serve their country in uniform, and now you rely on a charity to get the help you need? Take the food bank in Calgary. The richest city we have in Canada has a food bank designated strictly for veterans. In 2005, when it opened, 58 members were using it. In 2011, they had 204 members using it. There's a homeless shelter home in British Columbia called the Cockerell House. DVA didn't put 1 penny into that. That was the Royal Canadian Legion's Poppy Fund and other groups that put money into that to help homeless veterans. So when did it become right that charity do it? You cannot cut this department and expect the services to be there when less than 1/3 of veterans are needing the care. And don't forget, in order to become a DVA client, you have to be in receipt of a benefit. Many, many, many veterans are denied continuously. I'll give you an example. I have a 90-year-old World War II veteran. She was denied entrance into Camp Hill Hospital because she didn't serve overseas. I have a gentleman in Outremont, Quebec, 88 years old, I believe. He's got osteoporosis, diabetes, macular degeneration, cardiovascular problems, degenerative disc disease, and 3 other things I can't even mention. He was denied VIP service because, in the eyes of the individuals, he was not considered disabled enough to get VIP service. This is what they're doing. The no-go policy is there, which means if department officials say no long enough, you might go away. And some veterans actually believe in the 3D policy. You delay, you deny, they die. And so it's ridiculous to assume you can cut the department and provide the same level of service through the internet or the phone. It just doesn't happen.
There's also Mr. Perron who made the comment on a number of occasions that the problem with Veterans Affairs right now is not necessarily the staff. They do a great job. He said the problem is that it was a department that grew up around, as you mentioned, you talked about the First, Second World War vets that grew up around that that generation and never really moved on to the next generation of veterans that are coming out of Afghanistan, coming out of Bosnia, coming out of the RCMP right now. So is there a need then not necessarily to cut services but to modernize them and find new ways of doing it because it's a new generation of veterans who have a new way of communicating with, with people and with the needs that they have.
No question at all. I mean, the traditional so-called war veteran of World War I, World War II, Korea, were of the generation where, one, they didn't ask for help. And when they actually did, it was quite something for them to actually say, I need help. They were the tradition. If you take, for example, snow clearing and housekeeping, is the 84, 86-year-old guy says, I'll shovel my own damn driveway. I don't need the government to help me. Well, when he actually has to pick up the phone and say, can you help me? That's really a step forward. The modern day veteran is much more aggressive. There's no question. Like Bonnie had said, they're not taking no for an answer. They're forming their own veterans organizations across the country, and they're telling the government, I don't think so. I think it's time that you help. And you're absolutely correct. The government, more or less, the department was a little flat-footed in terms of the transition. But I do give them credit. I will give them credit that those transition practices are in place. The unfortunate part, while they're transitioning to the so-called modern veteran, they're getting rid of the experience and the corporate history and the people who could provide those services. It is a huge error in judgment. And I'm just going to let Kim Cole say a few words on that because she's fairly knowledgeable about that. And there is no question when 2/3 of veterans aren't getting the help they need now, what does that mean in the near future? When someone calls in and says very clearly, no, we can't help you, well, frig it, I'm not going to do it, and they just go away. And this is the problem. So Kim, if you don't mind.
Okay. Good afternoon. As Peter has said, that by the time 2015-16 arrives, we will have 1 in 3 less frontline service employees providing that. We are seeing also that all the regional structures that we currently have are going to be dismantled and it's going to be into one, and it's going to be called the field office, and they report directly to head office. So you're going to be seeing a lot more issues in special complex cases with our veterans, especially our still serving, that are not going to be able to receive that direction when they have to go directly and wait for an answer back from head office. So it is really escalating the issues. There's definitely going to be an impact on the service, and the oversight by going from head office from across the country is just an onerous task, and it's really, in the past, has not proved to be realistic.
Une ou deux petites questions en français à M. Thauvette, peut-être.
Oui, bien sûr.
Vous avez mentionné tantôt que déjà à travers, il y avait eu des compressions antérieures de 552 postes. Ça, c'était dû déjà là, dans une vague antérieure de...
C'est-à-dire que les 552 coupures de postes ne sont pas encore établies. On sait que ça va arriver dans un futur rapproché parce que le ministère est dans... Non, ce qui découle du dernier budget, c'est 252 postes.
Alors, les 552 proviennent d'où et depuis quand?
De la transformation ou de la modernisation du ministère. On a eu plusieurs rencontres avec l'employeur. On n'est pas contre la modernisation du ministère, au contraire. Sauf qu'il y a une période pour le faire. Et actuellement, ce que l'employeur tend à faire, c'est suivre les directives du gouvernement actuel, c'est-à-dire réduire le plus possible et le plus rapidement possible. Et ça, c'est ça qui va faire que les services directs aux clients vont être affectés. On a dit à l'employeur, oui, c'est beau moderniser, c'est beau la technologie, mais on sait tous. Puis je peux vous donner des exemples, là, les iPhones, les iPads, les ci, les ça, là, les GroupWise. C'était censé améliorer les communications et minimiser, si on veut, les problèmes. Bien, je pense que ça ne l'a pas fait, puis ça ne le fera pas avec le client non plus. Je pense qu'il y a des clients qui sont capables d'aller chercher leur formulaire en ligne, mais ils ne sont pas capables nécessairement de les compléter. Parce que, premièrement, c'est compliqué. Deuxièmement, ils n'ont pas réponse à toutes les questions. Et quand ils ont des problèmes de santé mentale, c'est difficile pour eux de le faire. Au même titre qu'un client qui est âgé entre 85 et 95 ans, on ne donne pas le même genre de service à ces clients-là aujourd'hui qu'on donnait hier. Anciennement, il y avait des visites à domicile qui se faisaient régulièrement pour voir quelle était la condition du client. Maintenant, c'est sur demande. Alors, un gestionnaire de cas va appeler le client, va lui demander comment ça va. Et ces clients-là sont très, on dit proud en anglais, là, sont très fiers, veulent pas mentionner leurs problématiques et disent tout va bien. Si par hasard, il y a et ça s'est vu dans le passé, là, des gestionnaires de cas font des petites visites rurales, vont arrêter chez le client et vont s'apercevoir qu'il y a des problèmes majeurs. Majeurs. Autant dans la propreté des lieux que dans la bouffe qu'ils ont dans le frigidaire, parce que c'est tous des aspects qui sont regardés par le gestionnaire de cas et c'est là qu'on s'aperçoit que le client n'a pas le service qu'il devrait avoir.
avec vous, c'est l'hôpital Sainte-Anne. Pouvez-vous revenir là-dessus, là, le transfert au ministère de la Santé du Québec? C'est ça qui est en train de se produire. C'est pas finalisé, mais c'est sur le point de l'être.
Exact.
Vous avez parlé de l'élimination de 1300 postes. Il y a tout bien du monde qui vont rester là, même si ça devient une institution du gouvernement québécois.
Oui, mais ça va être 1200 à 1300 postes qui seront éliminés du fédéral. On s'entend là-dessus. Donc, du ministère des anciens combattants.
Transférés quand même.
C'est une bonne question. On n'a pas eu encore l'occasion de s'asseoir avec les ressources humaines, autant de la province que du ministère des anciens combattants, pour délimiter qu'est-ce que la province veut, parce qu'ils n'ont pas finalisé le document. Ce qu'ils ont entériné, dans le fond, ce qu'ils ont signé, c'est un accord de principe qui lie les deux gouvernements à continuer les discussions sur le transfert potentiel de l'hôpital Sainte-Anne. Alors, en d'autant que je suis concerné, c'est un document qui dit, entre autres, que même si au Québec, il y avait des élections et que le gouvernement libéral était défait, les négociations se devraient de continuer. Il pense toujours que le transfert va se faire en mars 2013. Maintenant, maintenant, jusqu'à cette période, il faudra s'asseoir et voir qu'est-ce que le gouvernement du Québec veut garder et qu'est-ce qu'il ne veut pas garder. Mais c'est sûr que ce n'est pas les 1200 postes qui vont être préservés.
Merci. Thank you all very much. Merci beaucoup. Have a nice day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Merci.
Absolument.